Wow. So here we are. Wow. My gosh. Welcome to Sunday Night Live in planet Earth. Anyway, here in the greatest country in the world. Greatest. So let me start out by doing all the right things. Here we go. Where is it? I should have figured this all out by now, don't you think? Come on, what? No, okay. Cancel it. Just get this out of here. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. We're all here. Again, Sawadee Kap, Aloha, Namaste, and good evening, good morning to everybody in Thailand and Vietnam, Malaysia, Australia, all you guys over there, and all of us over here. So, what a week, huh? What a week. Everyone must have seen the or heard about the. I'm not sure it was a debate. I don't know what it was. I think it was a kind of a circus. They had a circus on the other night on it was a CNN, and but you know why they allowed it to happen? Because there shouldn't be, you can't, like I couldn't debate a mannequin, and I couldn't debate a, I wouldn't go to like to a nursing home and start debating the people sitting in wheelchairs with diapers on. So anyway, the reason they allowed that to happen, I think, because things don't just happen; they happen because they need to happen. So I think they accomplished their goal, and their goal was to show and prove once and for all that nobody's home in the White House. And so in doing that, it gave them justification for making some change they're about to make. And we'll see what that is, because who knows? It could be somebody fantastic, like, I don't know, Gavin Newsom, incredible guy like that, or but anyway, they'll always keep us guessing. We'll never know why they allowed that to happen. But the weird thing is he's been like this even back on the last time there was an election. Remember, or it was an election or selection? Yeah, during the last selection. But they kind of kept him in his basement, right? He was hiding out and stuff like that. He didn't let him out too much. Here they're like, here I am, and who am I? Where am I? Am I there? Is that the stage? Anyway. Bizarre. Anyway, so let's get started. I want to remind you all that the one-on-one consultations, just basic one-on-one consultations, are have gotten to. I can't do them anymore because I just can't. I got. I just can't do them effectively for anybody's sake. I wouldn't be able to help. I just don't have the time. So anyway, so as a result, in lieu of that, what we're going to do is we're going to have all of these groups, and I think the groups are going to make much more sense. They're coming up real soon. I think like early July, like first week or something like that. So they're coming up soon. And the three groups, remember, are health and healing. The other one is parasites, and the other one is on Sagittarius group. Oh, it's not Sagittarius. What is it? Leo? No, not Leo. It's Taurus. Cancer. That's it, right? But we're going to call it CFCs. Why are we going to call it CFCs? Because that's what it is. That's what they are. They're CFCs, chronically fermenting cells. And remember, there is no definition of that word cancer, other than it being people that were born between June 21st and July 20th, or depending on where you looked, it could be a day or two different on either side. But basically, it's people born in that time period. After they're Leo, then what is it? Virgo? Yeah. Virgo, then Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. Yeah. So anyway, but that's the only definition, right? There's no other definition. Look it up. Try to find another word. I mean, other than, I guess, crab. I mean, but that's not even the definition of the word. So there is no definition. It is no word. So words can really convey two things, right? They do convey two things. They either convey information, such as the word table, as the word bottle, as the word chair, as the word government, as the word whatever, parasite, conveys information. Now, there was one guy in who kind of pioneered an area of in psychology. His name was Albert Ellis, and he was very good. And he pioneered a type of psychotherapy or psychological counseling, whatever you want it's called, and it's called rational emotive therapy. And his, he realized that words can evoke emotions, and emotions bring words. So, and remember, we've discussed before in the past, I think, the difference between a thought and an emotion, and basically, it just comes down to simple. There's a physiological correlate to an emotion. And that physiological correlate is, mediated by our endocrine system and our autonomic nervous system. So, for example, if something makes you angry, there's going to be physiological things going on in your body. If you're afraid, there's things going on in your body. So anyway, when you associate a word with a physiological correlate, it becomes an emotion. I feel bad. I feel angry. What are feelings? I feel angry. I feel bad. I feel sad. I feel happy. I feel whatever. And it's interesting, if you took away the physiological correlate, it wouldn't be, the emotion wouldn't exist. Okay, so let me give an idea, explanation of that. There was something we used to do in psychology with people that had phobias. It was called systematic desensitization. And what we would do is you'd have, like, for example, let's say you had a phobia about flying. You didn't like planes. You were afraid. Good reason, but you were afraid. But afraid to the point where you wouldn't fly. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, but so you wouldn't fly, and because you got like, oh, I can't fly. So what you do is you talk to the person, you find out, okay, the worst thing you can imagine is sitting on the plane and the engines are starting, right? That's got to be, yeah, all right. Okay, what's before that? At the airport. What's before that? Driving to the airport. What's before that? Knowing it's that you're going to leave tomorrow, okay? And then you get all the way back to the time where you find out ordering the tickets, scheduling it, ordering the tickets, all those things. So there's kind of a sequence. So you get back to the point where, so the first thing that probably, it's my back again. Now I know what it is. It's this chair. So it's the first thing you do is you make a decision. I'm going to travel. I'm going to go whatever. I'm going to go to the Bahamas. I have to go to New York on a business trip or whatever it is. I'm going to go visit my kids uh, in Cabo San Lucas, whatever. So as soon as you make that decision, it's like you're immediately going to get anxiety because it's even hard to make that decision. And then you actually order the tickets. It's So what we do is we go back and first teach the person how to completely relax. It reminds me of what's it called? It slipped my mind now. Anyway, there's a form of yoga where you're just present with your body and you're lying down. I can't remember it now. But anyway, so you're just lying down and you lie down and you teach the person how to relax. And you start with every part of your body. You start with your toes and you feel them and you relax them. And you can work up to your whole foot and then your ankles, your legs. You go and you've relaxed your whole body. And once you get good at that, it takes a few sessions and the person has to work at it. But once you get good at it, someone just says, okay, relax. And you can do it. Now you do that, and then you do that. So then you imagine yourself deciding to take a trip. And you start to feel that way, and you immediately relax. I mean, we got that one's conquered, and then eventually you get all the way up to getting on the plane, and you can do it and relax. So you can learn how to not have that physiological correlate. So there is no emotion. Okay, that's the difference. So anyway, words can communicate information and or emotion. So that word that they're using, that word Sagittarius, is it? You got to remind me, Taurus. Anyway, that word, when you hear that word, there's no information conveyed, only emotion. And what's that emotion? That's what the emotion is. It's absolute, pure fear. And again, like I said earlier on, if something happens, I guess there was a plan. Yes. All right. So that's good. It's good. It's called standard of scare, and they're going to scare you into acquiescence, into, oh, sure, cut it off. Yeah. Burn me. So anyway, so that's that's the purpose. But the problem is that fear also paralyzes your immune system. Not completely, but enough to make it not work for you. So, it's weird, these cameras. So, anyway, that's all that communicates is fear. And that's not helpful, because if you look at this just as a practical exercise, you got a problem. Let's say, okay, what's the problem? Okay, now let's define the problem. Okay, and how did that problem come to be? Okay, got it. Now, okay, so now if we know how it came to be, then and we know what it is, then we can actually come up with a strategy to resolve it. Yeah, and then it's an intellectual process. It's thinking, and it's not okay. So that's why we call it, Yoga Nidra. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are here. Yoga Nidra. So that's what I mean, present with your body. So since they are chronically fermenting cells, that happen because why? Well, there was an overwhelming amount of toxins from whatever and wherever and everything, right? Including thoughts, including whatever. And those they all contribute to the cells of our body living in that environment, and so they cause damage because they're toxins. Definition of toxins. Okay, it's toxic means it's what causes disruption. Yeah. So then this cell, and we've been blessed and put together with extreme incomprehensible intelligence. And for those of you that don't know about God, because I get it, you don't want, it's not a guy. Okay, we got that. Just think of it that way. What happens is it's called homeostasis. It's called adaptation. In fact, the central, what do you call it, principle of Darwin's whole thing was that it's adaptation, right? Adapting, and whichever creature, animal, organism is able to adapt to certain situations, survival of the fittest, will survive. Well, within each of us, within every biological organism, there are multiple sets of processes that to maintain integrity, functional integrity, to maintain balance, to be able to function regardless of what's happening, right? And so, in order to function, regardless of what comes our way, so someone pushes you, your left leg goes out and holds you up. Okay, that's a biomechanical homeostatic corrective response, right? And then there are physiological ones. Blood pressure goes up to maintain blood flow or whatever. So there's physiological compensation, and then there's biological or biochemical compensations. And a good idea of a good example of a biological compensation is, or a metabolic or whatever, is becoming your cells who are smarter than we are realize that, hey, you're eating too much pasta, dude. So I'm going to have to get insulin resistant. Otherwise, you're dead. So you become insulin resistant. Okay. So that's a biochemical, biological adaptation. So now, so what happens, and that's what happens. So our cells are being inundated with toxins, and the most vulnerable part is the part that's already got some that part that's part of the cell that's already been damaged to some degree and has some very reactive molecules, and that are the mitochondria, the little organelles that produce energy, produce ATP, produce energy from glucose and oxygen. Okay, that's what they do. But because they got all that oxygen, they wind up getting free radicals, reactive oxygen species. So they're always going through wear and tear, right? Which is why in the morning, you hopefully, if you're, not everybody, I understand that, but let's say in the morning you feel good, you got energy, you're running around. That means every molecule of glucose is really becoming 38 energy packages called ATP. Yeah, by noon it may be making 37. By 6 p.m. maybe making, why? Because the cells are becoming damaged. I mean, the mitochondria are becoming wear and tear. They've got all these free radicals, and by 9 p.m. you're not making the same amount of energy in your time, and you go to sleep, and they get restored. If you didn't eat before you went to bed or within 4 hours, you get more of it. You still get restoration, but that's if you want to maximize that. Why? Because you don't want to be absorbing glucose. Why don't you want to be absorbing glucose? Because glucose, oxygen go into the mitochondria and they make energy. So if the glucose is coming from what you ate and the oxygen is coming from what you breathe, then there's no impetus for the cells to start cleaning up. Autophagy, however you want to pronounce it, tomato, doesn't happen at the rate at which it would happen if we're no longer absorbing anything. Now we gotta recycle, and then what are we going to recycle? Oh, these old worn out mitochondria. Let's just recycle them because there's a lot of good energy in there, and they do that. And what happens? Boom, no one comes up. Why? Because mitochondria have their own DNA. So you go to bed making maybe 18, 20, 22 ATP for every glucose molecule, and you wake up in the morning, you're making 38, and you jump out of bed. But anyway, when these mitochondria, 30% of them get damaged, and they're not being replenished, the cells that are able to adapt to that survival of the fittest, they can adapt whether there's oxygen available or not. So now, and also remember, if you're doing glycolysis or fermentation, it's faster. You don't get as much of a yield, but it's actually faster. In the same 1 minute or 10 minutes, you'll make more energy, more ATP in glycolysis or fermentation than you will in normal oxidative phosphorylation, because that takes longer. It's much more efficient. You're using much less energy. It's much more slick. And the other one, you're going to run out because it's going too fast and you're running out. So that's anyway. The cells that are able to exist, whether there is or no oxygen utilization because of mitochondria, are the ones that survive. So now that means, and now they've learned to do that. And so if you give them oxygen, you don't give them oxygen, it doesn't matter. They're still going to do the fermentation because that's what that's what helped them survive. And it's called what? Aerobic glycolysis. And what is that? That is, oh my God, that's called the Warburg effect. And what is that? That's the only thing that is the same in all CFCs. But I have a rare, no, it may have started in a rare place. In other words, most people don't, it doesn't start there, but there's nothing rare about what's going on, because fundamentally it's aerobic glycolysis, period, exclamation point, to the 12th power, okay? There's no genetic defect that is common to all of them, no. This stuff is really so clear and so simple, and I don't know why it got so complicated. Oh, I know why. Because the more complicated it is, the more confused we get. And then, oh my God, I got to go see those guys and they that House of Horrors on the hill there. They got all these guys in white, guys and girls in these white capes. And white is purity, right? They're going to save us. They're going to save us. But again, House of Horrors, witches and warlocks, they cast spells. And when you walk through the doors, they know you're going to die. They know you're going to die. Why? Because it's in the algorithm. And they realize that everybody they take care of, well, not everybody, eventually doesn't make it as long as they would normally. They don't seem to know that if these people didn't come to them, that they would probably. Anyway, now I know I always get people. There's going to be, I know there's people out there right now. Do you ever see those old commercials, old cartoons where the guy's getting angry and there's like smoke coming out of the nostrils? And so I know some people out there that smoke's coming out of your nostrils. So you're saying, I didn't go there. I know. I'm not saying that you should never do that. I'm just saying you can go. There are time for it. There's a time for it. Yeah, you broke your leg. You got to go to an orthopedic guy. Let him fix it. Her fix it. Okay. Yeah. I'm not saying that. I'm saying in general. So please don't. And also, there are some people that I want to see your posts and you're like getting angry and you're debating and stuff. I'm not here to do anything but pass on information. And what I said is true. It's true. It's just true. For example, you might not like the truth. Like, for example, I don't like the fact that we're living in the end times or whatever it is. I don't like that. It really wasn't part of my dreams and hopes. I don't like the fact that by next year, I'm not going to be able to travel unless I have a subcutaneous biometric device that has all my information on it, and by which I can be controlled. No, I don't like that. I don't like all these things, but I'm not going to say, well, they're not true. I'm not going to get angry at someone who told me they're true, right? If you tell me it's true, if you tell me, you know, suppose I got a math problem wrong, and I say, and the guy comes over and says, hey, I'm sorry, man, this equals that. You get mad at him, okay, but it still equals that. All right, so let's not do that. You guys don't get confused. Don't get emotional. We're transmitting information here. This is not an emotional transfer, although there's emotional components and all that. But my goal is not to, I do want to do one emotion, not emotion, a sense of being. I want you to realize that it's not hopeless at all, that you are living in an incredibly divine earth suit, and it heals. And if you don't believe me, go in the kitchen, cut your finger, and watch it over the next 5 days. Tell me what happens. Okay, then go do the same thing to your car, or go down the street in somebody's BMW. No, I didn't say that. I'm not recommending that you go do those things. But I'm just saying, suppose there was a BMW or a really expensive car, Mercedes. I don't know. How about a Challenger, one of those rockets that goes out in space? Expensive. Scratch it. What happens? Nothing. Stays that way. It'll eventually rust, unless it's made of plastic. Okay, so anyway, so please, you guys, if I say something, I only say it's true. I've looked it up. I've researched it, and I know. So if you don't like it, a better way to not liking the truth is to say, all right, this is it. It is true. I'm short, or I'm fat, or it's true. Okay, so now that I know what it is, I can work with it. Just accept what, and that's the lesson in life, isn't it? Is it not? To understand that and accept what is, so that you can manage it, deal with it effectively. You can be angry, sad, melancholy that things are the way they are, but they're still the way they are. So unless we understand what is, then we can't learn to adapt to it, live with it, and make the best out of it, right? All right. So anyway, so that's the name of the group. Can you believe I remembered that? I did. I remember. Okay, so that's where we were. We were talking about the groups. So the last group will be that. So, and is drlodi.com/inner circle. You can go in, get it on there, and we're gonna. As we're long, the people that are helping me put this together are not helping me, but they're putting it together. I'm just anyway. They're still working on a few things because they want it to be perfect. They don't want it to be like when I start lives. They don't want it to be like that. So anyway, so it's going to be fantastic. And as I said, we're going to have a private, like Telegram or whatever signal, I don't know, some group thing that we can all chat on, share all that, our information. And like we do, with these, you guys are sent, commenting and all that. We can do that throughout the week and all the time. But each group, we're going to keep specifically to that subject. All right. Even though they all have components and elements of each other. We know that. Yeah. Right. But I mean, pretty much focus on that. Okay. And however, if anyone has CFCs now and it's a problem, please call, and you're in the US here, call an Oasis of Healing in Arizona. And you'll talk with someone, and then you eventually speak with me or one of the other doctors. But if you want to speak specifically with me, you can tell them that, and that'll happen. And then we'll help you. And then pretty soon in Thailand, we'll be opening, and so Oasis had a baby. Is it a baby or is it asexual and it's just split? No, it didn't split. It's the same. But it cloned? No, it's not a clone. It's really, anyway, it's pretty close. Maybe it's, I don't know. But it's called Oasis Healing Asia. And it's going to be fantastic. And when that down here, it here. And remember, when you go to a healing treatment facility, all right, but it's never the place, you know, and they, you know, you go online and they show you, they take you on a virtual tour and you go, wow, that's beautiful. Oh my God. But that's not going to help you. It's the people. It's the people. And that's what it is. So, that being said, we still need to get a bigger place down here. So we're looking, because we're just like cramped. It's like putting, do you ever see those old elevators? I was in an elevator in Switzerland one time on New Year's Eve. And this is way, long time ago, but last century sometime. It was a small elevator. Anyway, I got in it, me and this friend of mine, and then about like 8 people got in. We're like this, and then as the door's closing, I look on the side and it says maximum capacity 3 people. I thought, oh, it closed, and then it went really fast. The lights went out, and it went just below the level at the ground floor. And it was the old-fashioned elevator because you had to push open the doors, and we couldn't open it because we were below. And we still had 1 floor to fall, the basement. Anyway, that's what I feel like at Oasis. It's crowded. Someday I'll tell you the end of that story. It's pretty crazy. Fantastic. Thank you, Thor. What is recommended dose for fenben or ivermectin for maintenance? Okay, a quick note on ivermectin, fenben, and all that for maintenance and stuff like that. Fortunately, these drugs have multiple effects. Yeah, they kill parasites. But what else do they do? They also turn off the mechanisms of these fermenting cells. So they, you know, for example, the benzimidazoles like fenbendazole, mebendazole, albendazole, frankbendazole, and jonbendazole, they block the tubules in the parasite, and it can't move around and die. It can't function. Well, that's exactly what we even have drugs, chemotherapy drugs that do the same thing. Block the tubules, because if you block the tubules, the cell can't divide, right? Because you've seen, meiosis, mitosis. I don't know if you remember those words, but anyway, there's these tubes in there, and they separate. If you stop that from happening, the cells can't divide. It's over. It does that, but it does other things too. It's amazing. It's amazing what they do. Most of the anti-helminths, which are the anti-worms, which are I can't say the biggest part of the problem with parasites, but anyway, the other thing that they do, especially ivermectin, mebendazole, I can't find it with fenbendazole, niclosamide, those 3, also kill specifically CFC stem cells. Yeah. Which is what you want to do, because it's the stem cells that metastasize. So if you can get rid of them, if you can kill them, then that's a really pretty cool thing to do. So now, but you say, I don't have CFCs. I just have parasite. Okay. What you don't have is you don't have 1 gram or more of CFCs. So it's not a clinical tumor. It's not a tumor. And therefore, you've only got milligrams or micrograms. I doubt if anybody has just nanograms. But remember, there are multiple aspects of our life that will contribute to that growing. And if for one reason or another, or 1,000 reasons and another, it becomes 1 gram or more, and then becomes this thing, you don't want it to spread. So we need to, when we go on the maintenance dose, to answer that question, when we go on the maintenance dose, we go on several of them. So I would do ivermectin, 12 milligrams twice a day. I would do, if I was doing Fenben, I would do Fen, but that won't, okay, if you're going to do Fenben, I would say for maintenance, maybe, 1 a day, 222 milligrams, or 440. They come in a couple sizes. If you're doing mebendazole, you can do 500 milligrams a couple times a day, once a day, twice a day. And then niclosamide a couple times a day, 500 milligrams. Still do it, or once a day at least, of all of them. Okay, it'll kind of it'll help maintenance. But still, if you've done a parasite cleanse and let's say you went 12 months, then you want to also realize that you still live wherever you live, and you're probably wherever you got these things. And it's not because you took that trip one day to South America or Africa or whatever. And that's what we're finding now, the same organisms in the Mississippi that we would find in the Amazon River, the same kinds of parasites, not all of them, but a lot of them. So, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. They are everywhere. And so the point is that little bit of maintenance that we're going to be doing is good, but still, I would say once a year, do it. If you successfully got rid of them all, once a year at least do 3 cycles, 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. Yeah, and then do your maintenance like that. Because they're around. This air condition is, my right arm is cold. Hang on a second. Oh my God. All right. Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. I'm sorry I'm not getting to these yet. And remember, these groups that we're going to be doing, there will be no questions that came in, and we'll only deal with questions as they arise. But this question here is, what if you don't have the money to come to Oasis? And I would be one of those. I couldn't afford it. You'd think by my age, doing the stuff I do, I should have some money. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have enough to go to Oasis. So, but anyway, but we're working on that too. But it's a bummer. It's a bummer. But if you don't, and there's lots of things you can do. All of the lifestyle things, and in reality, if you could successfully get rid of all the toxins and successfully restore the integrity and function of your gut and your gut biome, the appropriate one for humans, and you got your nervous system balanced, including the autonomic nervous system, which is parasympathetic and sympathetic, and you got them balanced, and your hormones are balanced, and you've done all that, and you've learned how to shut up, something I have to learn to. But inside, you're done. You're done. Because, by the way, there is nothing that's going to get rid of it. Why? There's no it. And I know I have to explain that. There's a process going on, an adaptive process going on, that has seemingly taken on a life of its own. But remember the fundamental thing I just said there, that's an adaptive process. So if you remove that to which it is adapting, so that it doesn't have to adapt, it won't adapt. So there's no it you're going to get rid of, because you got rid of it, but you're still producing it. You didn't do much. Okay, so we got to get out of that mindset. And so I probably sound a little bit contradictory there. So, well, then why are you talking about Oasis? The reason I'm talking about Oasis is because it's very difficult for us, wherever we live, whatever we're doing, whatever our lifestyle is, whatever our knowledge is, whatever our experiences are, very difficult for us to make all the changes and know exactly which ones we should make and which are more important. Because if you go online, you're going to find out that there's about 1.8 billion things you should be taking. Oh my God, they all work here. And anyway, so what do I do? And then I read that this doesn't really help you, because it does, and it's because you're going to read contradictory stuff all the time, and so it's going to be very confusing. What is right? What should I do? I mean, there's even controversy about what to eat still. Yes, you can use microgreens, of course. Yes. Kale, spinach. Yeah. Microgreens, right? Remember something about life in general. The earlier on an organism is in its development, it hasn't differentiated into all the different things. It's still this. So what I'm saying is that in the acorn is the oak tree. In the seed is all that it will become. It's not only the oak trees, the oak trees. Okay, so the seed is probably, wow. We got to do a whole series of discussions on seeds. But yeah, they've got to be activated. But in the seed is the tree. In the seed is the plant. And now it's a sprout. And that sprout is that. And so you can actually get the same nutrients from a handful of broccoli sprouts that you would in a pound of broccoli, pound and a half of broccoli. So yeah, you can use that stuff. And for people that don't like to eat raw broccoli and raw cauliflower, then because it has to be uncooked, remember, because if you heat this stuff up, you've done the things. Tell me what more. Okay, so I don't know what things you're talking about, but let me address that in a minute. So it's got to be uncooked, because if you heat it up beyond 119 degrees Fahrenheit or 47 degrees Celsius, then you lose the enzyme myrosinase and you won't get the glucosinolates. You won't get what you're looking for. So therefore, you can't heat it up. So what can you do? You can take the sprouts and put them in a smoothie and blend them up, or put whatever, right? Yep. And then you got to figure out, how can I eat broccoli and cauliflower uncooked and enjoy it? Because if you don't enjoy it, you might as well not eat it, because your feeling of deprivation and all that, there's feelings and stuff that you're not even aware of, are directly suppressing your immune system. So whatever good you might have gotten from it, you're not going to get it. So you've got to you've got to find a way to like it. Okay. Because if it tastes good, it's not good for you. That sounds, I'll never finish it. I mean, no, don't say that. I'm going to finish it. Yes. There's all kinds of ways depending on what cuisine, from which cuisine you have come. For, like, you can make a cashew nutritional yeast, olive oil, nut milk, nut butter, cheese. It tastes like cheese. Yeah, it tastes like cheese. It's crazy. It tastes like cheese. So I get like a couple of, as much cashews as I want, soak them a while, and then clean them off. And then you put in, like, whatever you like, a little bit of garlic, fresh garlic. If you don't like garlic, don't use it. If you like it, use it. But it gives it a good flavor. And then, maybe 5, 6 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and some half of a red bell pepper, so that it has that orange cheese look. It tastes good too. And it's good because really good nutrients as well. And then you put a little sea salt and start pouring olive oil in it and blend it. And when it's a nice creamy consistency, you taste it. Make sure it's got, if you need to add or whatever, it tastes like cheese. And then you take the broccoli and eat it like that. And the cauliflower. And you say, I still don't like broccoli. Okay, got an idea. Let's put the broccoli and the cauliflower in a dehydrator. And why? Because you can take it up to a temperature, as long as you don't go over 49 Celsius or 119 Fahrenheit. If you don't go over that, then you haven't destroyed the enzymes permanently. You made them not work for a while, and then when it cools off, they're fine again. But now it tastes cooked. Yeah, it tastes cooked. And now, so you put it in the dehydrator for, well, like an hour. Depends on what temperature you have it at, what you set it at. Take it out, cover it with that cheese sauce, put it back in for an hour or so, and you've got a broccoli or cauliflower or both cheese casserole. And it's like, what? This is not cooked? Oh my God. So delicious. Delicious. It's not something like, oh, I gotta eat it. It's like, yeah. I want to eat it. All right. So we got to make it taste good, and it can taste good. Yeah. So one thing about changing your diet, what I've learned by working with people over the decades, that I don't know, have you ever had, those of you who have kids, and the kids, they say, I don't like that. Or they show them something and they look at it. Now, they've already decided they don't like it. It doesn't matter rarely you're going to say, oh, unless it's like really sweet or something. But they're going to say, yeah, they don't like it. So that's one aspect of changing your diet, is you've got to change your mind. And one of the things that helps change our mind, sadly, tragically, is pain and suffering. Pain and suffering is the impetus to change. Otherwise, why should I change? I feel fine. I'm smoking. I'm going to bed. I don't have to go to bed. I'm eating whatever. I'm fine. And you're fine if you're young and you just started doing that stuff. But give it a few 10 years. You're not going to be fine. You're not going to feel good. it's not going to be good. Okay. So that is only way you're going to change, right? Or you notice that what you've been eating has resulted in you've got all these terrible skin, and you're always sick, you're overweight. But most people don't connect that with what they ate for some reason. But anyway, so pain and suffering give us the motivation to change. So a lot of times when I have people that come to the center and they're saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So if you don't want to do all these, if you don't want to change your lifestyle so that this stuff doesn't come back, because remember, they have to get it. They have to understand that it's everything we've been talking about. If they don't want to change, then I would say to them, then listen, that's fine. There is up the street, you can go here, you can go there. There's a lot of different clinics who don't tell you don't change. You just sit back in chairs and they're going to put IVs in you, and that's going to fix you. If you think that's how it works, then that's where you should go, because this is a journey. When you come here, it's a journey. It's your journey, and we're absolutely here to guide and teach and walk with you, but we can't walk for you. We can walk with you, but not for you. And it's your journey, and you got to take it. And a lot of people are, but then they go to the House of Horrors and they go, well, listen, we're going to cut this off and we're going to do all this. And you go, huh? So then you say, well, wait a minute. And then you find out about this way of healing and you say, wow, I mean, I don't have to do that. And then you approach it with gratitude. Yay, there's a way to do this without increasing the pain and suffering. So that, because you want to have gratitude and be grateful and just do it, and say, okay, what do I got? Stand on my head for 3 hours? Okay. And then do what? Yeah. I had a guy one time from back out. He was from New York. In fact, he was from Long Island, and I had just moved from New York a couple of years. It was a couple. I'd opened Oasis. It was only a few years old. Anyway, he had a CFC problem, and he would hold his green juice up, and every time before he would take his drink, he would hold it up to the heavens and say, "Thank you." He healed. He healed. Healing happened. So, oh, by the way, we got to get rid of transitive verbs in our language. All right. Transitive verbs completely mislead us, because people say, I healed my whatever. You healed it. Huh? How'd you do that? At what point did you have the fibroblasts do this? And what about those dioxygenase enzymes? How did you, and we don't do it. It's not something you do. You don't do it. You don't digest. I'm digesting my food. No. Digestion is happening. Mm-hmm. Like I've always, that expression. Oh, it was an expression that I couldn't. It was one of those expressions that I heard it. It actually hurt. When people say, let's do lunch. Do lunch. I can't even imagine what that means. But anyway, it's back to the whole thing that we're doers. We're not doing anything. I'm sure there's some steam coming out of the nostrils somewhere, but we're not doing anything. We're not human doings. We're human beings. Okay. So I know I'm in control. Listen, I made a decision to go to the store. I got in the car. I did that. Okay. If I were to talk to you about it, the details of that, you'd find out you didn't do it. Okay. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to I didn't even start yet. It's like, what, almost over? Okay. Anyway, so those are 3 groups. Do get in there, because we're going to we're going to get started. It's going to be great, fantastic. And also everybody if instead of if you got a problem, you call either the centers, Thailand or Arizona, and you'll get the consultation anyway. Okay, but anyway, for right now, what I want to do is I want to turn these into some people that are in the parasite group. Obviously, you're in the group because parasite. You're either extremely interested, which most people are, but usually because you have a problem with them or you whatever. So, how does melatonin help with this? Oh my God, that's 3 chapters. All I can tell you, Tanya, is, and I'll try to get into it a little bit today, melatonin if I can. But yes, and then again, yes after that. So, anyway, forget that. I forgot what I was talking about. So, anyways, so do that. Okay, so let's get in these groups. And I was going to say parasites. That's right. So you got a parasite problem. So we were in the group, and and then you can say, look, and if you don't mind sharing your information with people, and remember, you can get a when you sign up to the whatever it is, use a pseudonym. You can put any name on there. You can say, I don't think you'll get in trouble. You could even put, I don't know, Joe Biden, or maybe Joe Trump, and or Donald Biden, or you could put, what's his name? What was that guy's name? Bugadish. What was his name? The guy that was running against on the Democratic side, was it Pete Buttigieg? Oh, okay. So you can say your name is Nancy Buttigieg, or your name is Pete Pelosi, or you can any name you want, or have some caricature, and I mean, it doesn't have to be you. So you're anonymous. You can remain anonymous. And on the groups, you can. I'm not sure if we're gonna like. What? Are we back? Okay, my God. How do you join the Parasite group? You go to drlodi.com, drlodi.com/inner circle, sign up for it, and then they'll let you know when you can do it, and then you join it, and then we'll be the Parasite group. But in that, for example, in that one, you can say, and then you've got an anonymous persona there, and you say, you can say, I got these things crawling out of my nose, and blah, blah, blah. That's all that. And if you're not, or if you have CFCs, you can do it. We can talk about your situation in that context. And it's, but everybody can hear it. Everybody will ask questions. So it's kind of like, I used to do that when I had, when I was in Arizona still, and I had a lot of people coming that week, new people. So instead of having like, a few each day, and I brought them all at once, and we had one long session where I went over all the stuff that I go over, and then we could make the individual ones really short and focused, because we went over that. But the good thing about that is because this person might ask a question or bring up a topic that you didn't know, and so it works really good. So these groups are going to be fantastic in that regard. Okay, so by the way, whatever you're on, Instagram or Facebook or Rumble, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all that stuff. Just know that it's on those other ones. So if you're not on one, and one of your platforms goes down for some reason, you can go to the other one. It's Facebook, YouTube, but it's all at drlodi.com. I'm sorry. It's at Dr. Thomas Lodi, Dr. Thomas Lodi, right? So it is. Did I get that right, you guys? Yeah. Dr. Thomas Lodi. Yeah, Dr. at Dr. Thomas Lodi. Except for Twitter X, it's Dr. Thomas Lodi, MD. Okay. Um, but other than that, they're all that. And by the way, all these live streams are saved on them, and you can watch them again if you want to, or something was interesting, you want to share it with someone the next day. Except for TikTok, they don't save it. So, all right. I don't know. Maybe am I getting like, am I getting like, am I not? I guess I haven't said anything controversial. I noticed is the most controversial thing is there's two things that you shouldn't talk about. One is the inoculation of toxins and biomodifications. What do they call them again? It starts with a V. Yeah, anyway, you can't mention that word, and you also can't talk about gender. Those are the things that really bother them. They don't like that at all, and they're going to kill you if you do it. Yeah. All right, so that's it. So let's get on to this, okay? Exactly. Job, right? So Job just made a beautiful point. Yeah, wanting to change is one thing. Doing it is another, especially if you've got a condition that makes you sick, or it makes you not feel well and they don't have energy and stuff. Absolutely, I get it. That's another reason that for our centers, it's a place to come. And the other one, like I've worked with people from afar, like they're wherever they are, whatever country, whatever state, whatever they're in, and we try to set up a program for them in their place, right? So we get a doctor that they if they can find a doctor that will collaborate with me, and then we talk about all the things they need to do and all that. But what the person finds themselves doing is they got to drive, 5 miles on Tuesdays here, and they 30 miles, and it's just you're going all over. And then I can't find a certified lymphatic therapist. I didn't find a certified lymphatic, and how do I know they're good? And then the colonic therapist. Instead of having to do all that, you get to do it all in one. It's all there, and the learning how to eat, learning what food is. And we have a school of life where we teach you the things that we didn't learn in school, like how to live. What does that mean? Well, what do humans eat? What's the best way to eat for our health? And how important is 8 hours of sleep? What time should I go to bed? What about movement? My job is I don't move much. All these things that we don't learn about, and therefore we don't know anything about them. We don't know how to do it. We just kind of whatever we were exposed to is how we live our lives. And the problem with that is that it has consequences, because if you think of your body as a garden, soil, you have to realize, like if I had a garden in the backyard and I didn't plant anything there and I just ignored it, things would grow. Weeds, whatever will grow up. It's not going to be barren. What does that have to do with what you're talking about? Here it is. Our body's the garden. If we plant the seeds and we make sure that the seeds are what we want, and we tend it, and we eliminate the seeds that grow weeds, and we tend this garden, then we're going to have a harvest that we want. But if we ignore it or we don't plant the right seeds, because you can't plant tomatoes and negotiate cucumbers, it just doesn't work. You're going to get tomatoes. So the bottom line is we are going to have a harvest, whether we attend to this garden or not. So it's in our best interest to attend to this garden. So the questions are, anyway, one thing I wanted to, well, we'll do this we'll do this maybe on the health and healing group. I want to talk about dill seeds. Okay, because they're pretty amazing. We'll do that because I was going to talk about it a little bit today, but we don't have time. I've already talked too much. But it's pretty amazing. Anyway, so this is Tatiana. What's your opinion on glutathione? Is it a good antioxidant to add to the anti-inflammatory protocol? My CFCs were not shown by recent CT and PET scans, but liquid biopsy discovered their presence after 2021 surgery remission. Thank you. Okay, a lot of stuff in that question. Thanks for asking about it, and very important topic. So just real a quickie on the liquid biopsy idea. Oh my God. Why is it? You know what? It's really weird. I sit in this chair all week. I mean, not all. I get up once in a while, but how come only like I was on it last night? How come only when I do the live does it hurt? Anyway, don't think about that. The liquid biopsy, this term has come up only recently. I mean, several years now, but because it's a cool name. Oh, liquid biopsy. Okay. What do they mean by that? They mean normally you take a biopsy of a tumor, of a solid thing, and you examine it. And they do all the stuff that pathologists do, and they come up with all kinds of stuff that they know. Which, by the way, is useless. And we'll get into that later. I don't want to put the steam back in your nostrils. I'll explain it someday. Okay. It's useless. But the liquid biopsy, what they're looking at is what they call circulating tumor cells. And there are circulating tumor cells. And they do, and there is a correlation between the number of circulating tumor cells and, well, I mean, if they're growing, what does it mean? Well, there's a correlation sort of that it's with growth of the tumors. Or you didn't have any detectable ones and now you do. Okay, so here's the problem with that is that when we look at a tumor, it has about 0.01% or 0.1%, somewhere over there, of the cells can successfully spread and become a new focus, a new tumor, a metastasis. And so therefore, what's circulating in the blood has a 99.9 at least chance of being a cell that could not successfully metastasize, and therefore it's irrelevant. And so you all, I'm sure if you've been dealing with CFCs and you've gone to integrative oncologists and alternative there, I'm gonna just guess that they all have said, yeah, dill also helps you get a good night's sleep. It does amazing things. They said we got to send your blood to Greece to RGCC, right? They're going to do RGCC. Now I remember when I was doing it way back. I think I stopped in 2005, 2006. It was $2,800 then, and I heard now it's like 4,500 or something. Anyway, it gives you information on what they think. They say, okay, they test it against chemo agents. They test it against natural substances like curcumin, vitamin C, and stuff like that. And they give you a report, and they tell you that it's not going to work on, these particular chemotherapeutic agents won't work. These will, blah blah blah. And then on this one, it doesn't respond to curcumin, or vitamins. When I hear that, what? There is no tumor that doesn't respond to ascorbate, vitamin C, or curcumin, all that. Because their endpoint when they're doing these studies is cellular death or apoptosis. Okay, well, in order for there to be apoptosis, it's got to be a substance that is going to that causes cells to die or to go through apoptosis. Curcumin doesn't do that. Curcumin does a billion things, but not directly kill. It turns off this gene, completely turns off NF-kappa beta, blah, 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 blah. Stops inflammation. That's what it does. So if you use that as an endpoint if you use apoptosis, that doesn't work. It does. What about ascorbate? Now, I don't know how anybody ever come up with it. The ascorbate wouldn't help this. Well, yeah, if you get the right concentration in a tumor environment. So if they're doing it in a dish, in a tumor environment, what do you have? You got lots of iron. Why do you have lots of iron? Because tumors have iron receptors 15 times more than other cells. And they need that iron to divide, to grow. And so that's one of their, that's one of the biomarkers we look at. High ferritin, low iron, right? Because the iron is being used up and grabbed by the tumor. So the body says, whoa, we're not going to let you grab it. So it pulls it up into the ferritin cloud to keep it away. And so the ferritin's growing, the iron's going down. And that if the ratio is 5-1 or more, you've got, if you didn't know it, you've got some CFCs. But anyway, that's the liquid biopsy. So let me get on to your question here. I'm so what's the word? Yeah. I think I should change my name to Dr. Segway, because that's all I do is segue. You never got to the question. You did all this, and then at the end, okay, so I'm going to try to get to the question, okay? This is my first time listening to you. What way of eating do you recommend? Whoa, okay, thank you for asking and showing up and the whole topic. But what I recommend eating is what we were designed to eat. And what we were designed to eat, when you look at our anatomy and physiology, it turns out the plants. And there, I can see it in the distance. There's like all this steam coming out of nostrils from all over. There's clouds all over the place because this is one topic that really bothers people. So I'm sorry. I keep promising to do this one webinar where I'm going to go through all the research so that there is no more question. I'm sure there'll still be people who have a question, because you could say, look, you could show all the proof and they're going to say, nah, because they don't see it. They don't hear it because they don't want to hear it. But anyway, so that's what it is. Eating plants, eating and be eating plants the way they were given to us by the earth. And of course, if there's a bunch of soil on them, you can wash it off and all that. But and chop it up and do all kinds of stuff, like I was talking with the blenders and stuff. So we can prepare it, but let's not destroy it with heat, because heat, as you all know, heat is destructive. Smoke from that one. Can we agree that fire is destructive? No, the sun is hot and it's necessary. God, I hear you, and you're absolutely right. So what I'm really talking about is fire. And I'm talking about fire changes the chemistry. It's called an endothermic chemical reaction. Energy is brought from the outside into this substance, and the chemical reaction, the energy from the heat causes a chemical reaction so that it is no longer what it was. Okay, so tomato sauce is not in any way, maybe a few things, as the same as a tomato. It's just not. Come on, there's no smoke coming out of nostrils right now, right? Okay, we agree to that. And we also accept the fact that the reason you don't put your finger in the fire, and the reason you don't put your new shirts in the fire, and the reason you don't put your money in the fire, and the reason you don't put anything that you value into fire is because it's destructive. Right. And therefore, where did we get the bright idea to put the products that God, through earth, so some of you guys don't know, but anyway, God, through earth, provided for our nourishment. Where did we get the idea to put it in fire? Because it wasn't right? You mean it wasn't? It still wasn't right. We're gonna fix it. We fixed it by causing it to degenerate, thermal degeneration. Anyway, that's it. So to your answer, that was a long answer. I apologize. But basically, we eat plants and we eat them uncooked. We make them taste delicious. We find a way to make it taste delicious. The other day, 4 days ago, they had a pizza out at our center. It was incredible. It was incredible. It was delicious. And no one had to tell you that's pizza because it looked like it. And no, there was no cheese, and no, there was no heat, fire, no baking, but unbelievable. And what else? I mean, how about a breakfast burrito? Like, fantastic. No, there was no egg. I mean, just telling you, it's incredible what you can do and make it taste good and enjoy it. Okay, so glutathione, right? So, okay, what is my opinion about glutathione? Well, glutathione, you guys all know that in taking it for a supplement, that's a whole nother thing. But glutathione, as you know, it's the most important detoxification enzyme in our body. I mean, thioreducin, there are other really important ones, yeah, but glutathione kind of sits at the top. It's probably the most important, right? And it's a really simple molecule. It's three amino acids, glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. That's all it is. But it is amazing. Can you imagine? It's just those three amino acids. And what it does is keeps us alive. Another one, how about this? How about methionine and cephalin? Comes from our adrenal glands. It's 5 amino acids, and 2 of them are glycine. And it completely overrides the suppression on the immune system that the tumor did. Amazing, just amazing. But anyway, so glutathione, basically, it's got sulfur thiol groups, and it's yeah. So it you know it like, for example, if you get a toxin in your body like peroxide or something, it can turn it into water or alcohols, and it recycles. I mean, so it detoxifies it. Almost anything that gets into the cell that is detrimental, it will be neutralized by glutathione, right? Almost anything. It regenerates ascorbate vitamin C, right? What does that mean? It regenerates it. Well, when vitamin C gives its electron, now it has nothing else to give, and glutathione gives it back, and it gets activated. So does alpha lipoic acid do that same thing to ascorbate, gives it back, right? And it also regenerates vitamin E, which is the antioxidant that is, because most antioxidants that we think of are in the blood or inside of the cell, and they're water soluble, right? And our membranes on our cells are made of fat and some other stuff, but fat basically, and they're lipid. It's called lipid, and they're lipid soluble. So these antioxidants don't affect them, but vitamin E does. And one other one, you know what else that we make in our bodies that protects our cells from? It's called lipid peroxidation. Protects our cells from being damaged. I'll give you a hint. If you took Lipitor, you'd have less of it. Dun, 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 dun. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Okay, yeah, you got it. What is cholesterol? Yeah, so cholesterol, the bad molecule, just another important thing that it does is that it protects our cells from being, the cell membranes from being oxidized or damaged. And so if you took a foolish trip to Fukushima and hung out near the nuclear reactor for the weekend, and you came back, and about 2 weeks later, did you check your cholesterol? It would probably be 600, 800. And that's because you needed it. So anyway, so it regenerates vitamin E too. Those are just some of the things it does, right? But and one of the other things that's interesting is it inhibits. Okay, iron has two state conditions: ferric and ferrous, 3 plus and 2 plus, right? It's the 2 plus one that's active. 3 plus one is just hanging out. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, so ascorbate will get it to the 2 plus so that we can it can be used and absorbed and all that sort of thing. But it's not just iron. I'm just giving you examples. But copper, as you know, or you may know, copper also has a 3 and a 2, 3 plus and a 2 plus. So cupric, cuprous, ferric, which iron, ferrous. Okay, so so glutathione prevents the copper from being activated. And why is that important? Because copper is essential to angiogenesis. And if a tumor doesn't grow new blood vessels, it can't grow 1 millimeter. In fact, there's one thiomolybdate is people take that, and it's a copper chelator. And if you can get your copper low enough, then you won't grow new blood vessels. Tumor can't grow. Wow. This is crazy. It must be the live. Maybe it's these, who knows what it is. I got to put my fist back there, and now I'm okay. As long as I sit on my fist, lean against my fist. But that's a very difficult therapy, taking that, because that, if your copper levels get low enough to prevent new blood vessel growth, well, we're not only growing blood vessels in tumors, we're growing blood vessels all over the place because we need them, like in our eyes and So it's not a good idea. And that goes to an even deeper question about all the things we do, but another time. So um but it also chelates other minerals, right? Nasty ones like lead and mercury and stuff like that. But it chelates this copper thing, right? Um, and basically, it's found. The interesting thing about it is that it's found mostly in the we have it in the cytoplasm, which is when a cell is made of a cell membrane, right? And then it's got a nucleus where the DNA is. Well, everything between once you get in the door of the membrane and all that stuff before you get to the nucleus is called the cytoplasm, and that's where all the other organelles are, like the ribosomes and the endoplasmic reticulum and the mitochondria. They're all in there. But that's called the cytoplasm. So you have cytoplasmic glutathione. You also have mitochondrial glutathione and all that sort of thing. And we need to maintain a certain amount of reduced glutathione in our cells to be healthy because it's cleaning up everything, right? So, okay, good, great. How can I get it in me? And that's your question. Can I eat it? Can I take pills? And the answer is no. And then why? Why doesn't that work? Well, if you take a pill that has glutathione, which is 3 amino acids. 3 amino acids is also called a tripeptide. What is a peptide? A peptide is amino acids strung together that are less than 100. Actually, they say less than 50, and more than 100 is protein, right? Protein is amino acids more than 100 together, and 50 and under is peptide. So what is 60, 70? They don't. I mean, that's bizarre. That's one of the most bizarre things. Because if it's not a peptide, it's not a protein, but it's amino acids strung together, then it's ridiculous. Anyway, so I just say the peptides are up to 100, and 100 and above is considered a protein. Right? But anyway, so when we eat a protein or a peptide or anything like that, our body, since we can only absorb single amino acids, our body will break it down into glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. And we will absorb those, and they'll go into our blood, and they'll go around. And since there's no enzyme system there to reconvert them into glutathione, they don't get reconverted into glutathione, and they just contribute to our amino acid pool, which is good because we have to make 37 million new cells every second, so we got to have enough parts lying around or set up. So that's what happens when you eat it. Now, that being said, but there's some controversy in that. However, it's been shown, lots of studies showing that you can take even large doses of glutathione, and it doesn't change your glutathione levels. Now, the other thing is so you got to do it IV or sublingual. Or now they have liposomal. So liposomal will help, sublingual will help, or IV. And then it gets into your blood. Now it's in your blood. And now the question becomes, will it be taken up by the cell? And that's another, it's got, there's a lot of research on it. But like I said, but in the gut, when it gets into the gut, there's an enzyme called gamma glutamyl transferase, which breaks it apart, and so you're no longer getting glutathione. You're getting these 3 individual amino acids. But and then how are we going to get it across the cell membrane into the cell? And that's another question. And the answer is no. So what are we going to do? Because it doesn't do it. One of the reasons it doesn't do it is because, and let me just I want you to understand it. Don't just think that I'm saying things. The concentration of glutathione that's required for health inside of our cells is much higher than the concentration of glutathione outside of our cells. Therefore, for it to move inside against a very big gradient, it can't. It's almost impossible. It is impossible. It can't go against that gradient. You understand? Yeah. Now, then there's some other bizarre things. For example, if you take vitamin C, like for example, if you just take 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C with the glutathione, they've been able to find a slight increase in the inside the red blood cells, which are not normal cells. They don't have a nucleus, but and what do you call it? And the white blood cells, which are normal. They have, I mean, normal in that they have a nucleus. More in the red blood cells. So I don't know, and no one know that if you take, for example, if someone is taking too much Tylenol, we used to see this a lot in the yeah. Uh, okay. It, in hospitals, when I was working in hospitals, in the ICU, it was like, well, remember I was doing my training in the 80s. And so I don't know if it's the same now, but anyway, young women and female teenagers would often, I don't know if they were seriously wanting to kill themselves or just whatever, but they took like a bunch of Tylenol, acetaminophen. I'm not sure what they were thinking, but anyway, that you're dead. It's gonna cause you to have liver failure. So by the way, just so you know, when they talk about, well, ibuprofen's really bad for you because it hurts your liver. No, it doesn't hurt your liver. It hurts your kidneys. It's your kidneys, and it's Tylenol that hurts your liver. It's not that in smaller amounts is not going to hurt it. You can deal with it, but if you take an overdose. So anyway, so we had a lot of women come in to the ICU who were in liver failure with from taking overdoses of acetaminophen, and how we treated intravenous N-acetylcysteine, NAC, cysteine. And N-acetyl just means the thing that's connected to, it's connected to. Just like I have sodium ascorbate. Ascorbate is what you want, it's connected to a sodium. Okay, so anyway, why? Because there are 3 amino acids, remember, in glutathione. There's glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. Well, glycine and glutamine are, it's a non-essential amino acid. Non-essential meaning we can make it. So glutamine is like the most abundant amino acid in our body. It's everywhere, and anything you eat is going to have it. So that's not a problem. The cell's got that, and the cell's got the glycine, but it doesn't get much methionine. I mean, much cysteine, because you've got to get it from methionine and well, basically from methionine, which is an amino acid, right? And then and you've heard, and I'm sure some of you have heard that, but I've got to go on a methionine, low methionine diet and all that. Okay, I want to talk about diets and ketogenic diets and all that stuff and why they're not. It's not going to work. It might help a little bit for a while, but it's not going to hurt. It's not going to work. So, So anyways, what it is because if you get enough cysteine in there, the cell will make it. It's the rate limiting amino acid. So you fill it up with the NAC, and you're going to increase it. But you also need what? You need selenium. You need B6. You need, there's a lot of things else that you need that you got to have. But the the cysteine, so NAC will stimulate your cells to make more glutathione, and that's the goal. The goal is to have intracellular glutathione, right? Yeah, you want it a certain amount in your blood, but remember, in health, there's a high concentration within our cells and lesser in the blood. But it has functions in the blood as well. But okay, So the idea of taking it would be to increase the glutathione, intracellular glutathione. And yeah, so anyway, oh, by the way, I can't, I have to mention this, okay, because, um, uh, well, I got to point it out. Now, as you may know, the fraud and deficit, I mean, the, what is it? FDA recently approved a R, an mRNA, I hate to use the word vaccine, for respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, which is a, you know, flu type thing. But they gave, the FDA gave uh, Moderna approval pretty quickly, which means that ignore all the stuff you're learning about those kinds of injections. Ignore it, because we're going to just pretend like it doesn't happen. So it was approved. So when someone tells me it's FDA approved, I don't say, "Oh, great." I say, "Oh, is it really?" And if they say, "Well, you know, this is not FDA approved," I go, "Okay, cool." So I have kind of like the opposite impression of the fraud and death association. Actually, if we don't even call it what it really is, if we use it as Food and Drug Administration, why would they put those two things together? Why would we have to have a governmental body to control food and drugs? I got it. If you eat these foods, you're going to need those drugs, and we want to make sure that happens. Anyway, so they approved it. But the reason I'm telling you that is because you know what they've done? They sent out a public advisory. It was called 2019-82 or something. And 182, saying that the dangers of these injectable things, such as glutamine, which are offered at health and beauty salons and wellness spas, these products could damage your liver, your kidney, and your nervous system. I didn't make that up. So, you know, think about it. So glutathione, dangerous. And there's no proof about vitamin C. Oh, and then one other thing that we've learned in the modern days is that, you know, the source of all life in our solar system, you know, the sun, it's bad for you. Yeah, it's bad for you. So don't go in the sun. And instead, I want you to put on these FDA approved creams that are toxic and are going to protect you from getting the sun, which means it's going to protect you from making vitamin D. Yeah. So I think we've all come through we're all on the other side of the looking glass, you know, along with Alice. Anyway, that's the FDA. So we know now. Now there was another study that said they gave a lot of glutathione. You know, it just, they couldn't raise the levels. So now, and they were saying, okay, what about NAC? Can we do that? And there's a thing about NAC where it's actually, because of the kinetics involved, it's taking it orally is nowhere near as effective as getting it IV. However, they found out, studied, if you give it with glycine is one of the other amino acids, it seems to work. You get a better response. And intracellularly too. And the thinking behind that is that you're not you don't have to use the glycine that would be used for other processes, and it goes directly. So it goes right. And that's some kind of hypothesis for that. But anyway, it seems to work. It seems to work better, right? Now, where can you get it elsewise? You can get glutathione. Now, remember, one of the most important things with glutathione is selenium. And if you get enough selenium, you need selenium. And if you got enough selenium, that will upregulate your body's ability to make glutathione. So you can get selenium in lots of things, but I think probably the easiest way to get it is Brazil nuts. Now, if you don't have any Brazil nuts, then you got it. There's other ways. But 4 Brazil nuts gives you 200 micrograms of selenium. So that's one of the reasons why I like to, when making a nut milk, I like to make Brazil nut milk. Tastes great, and it's got selenium. So, anyway, so for that reason, almonds are good. Brazil nuts are good. Brazil nuts are better, are really good. Garlic, as you may know, has a lot of really important things. But it provides the sulfur cysteine. It provides cysteine. Okay, so there you're getting your NAC, but it's in a bioavailable form from the garlic. And so almonds do that too. Oranges are good. Avocados are good. Strawberries are good, and turmeric, curcumin, spinach. That's why in the fundamental juice recipe is cucumber, celery, spinach, and kale as the foundation. Lemon and apple. If you don't like it, switch it around, or if you want to add something else to it. And by the way, if you're making a juice, it's got to taste good. If you've got to add extra apple juice, do it. If you're going to drink it, because the goal is to flush your body when you're doing a juice cleanse. To flush your body with tons of nutrients and water, which is called juice. Mm-hmm. So if you got to put extra apple, you do. If you like carrots instead, put carrot juice. If you like a spicy flavor, put something spicy in there. You want to put jalapeno, put whatever, savory. Whatever you have to do to make yourself and love it and look forward to it, make it like a Bloody Mary. Taste like a Bloody Mary. Don't put the vodka, minus the vodka. A virgin Bloody Mary. Why do they say virgin? The virgin is used too much, like virgin olive oil. What else is virgin? Anyway, weird. Yeah. But the thing about spinach is, in addition to having probably the highest amino acid concentration of all the vegetables, which is protein. So it's got like 49% protein of its calories come from protein. Same as rat's milk, by the way. And rat's milk has the highest. Rat's milk has more protein than cat's milk. More than lion's milk and all that. Okay, so anyway, but the spinach also has the vitamin A, the vitamin C, the vitamin K, iron, folate, all those things that you need to keep your glutathione levels up. That's really good. I mean, just for that thing. The thing about it is, when you cook it, you destroy it. So if you gotta cook it, do it real short, steam or something. Or just put the spinach in your salads or something like that. Or I was gonna say do it like Popeye, but I think he got it from that can, and I have a feeling it looked, the way it came out when Popeye was eating it, it looked like it was cooked. It had been cooked and canned. So. But look, he was a tough guy. And you know what I noticed about Popeye? On his arms, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Popeye, but strong arms, and there were no dialysis catheters. Meaning, the way I interpret it, meaning that he didn't need dialysis because his kidneys were in good shape. Okay, but if he's eating all that spinach, he's going to get oxalate, and he'll get oxalate stones. Oh, no. Anyway, Popeye to the rescue. He's always to the rescue, you know. I miss Popeye. I haven't seen him in a long time. Um, you think he retired? Uh, so anyway, cooking it, and then the other one they say for glutathione is to eat. You know, they the way they write it, they go, you get a lot from chicken, so don't eat poultry. Well, what's with the word poultry? Where did that come from? We are just talking about chicken. How'd you come up with poultry? Show me bacon. Where's the bacon? Anyway, just as a reminder to us all that we don't even want to say what we're eating. Right? Ah, you don't want to say I'm eating chicken corpse. You don't want to say I'm eating pig corpse, bull corpse, cow corpse, sheep corpse. No, we'll give it a new name. Okay, so anyway, so the whole idea was that chicken provides methionine and cysteine, and that's why it does it. Well, those are really important because the methionine is going to give you the sulfur and the. Well, guess what? We don't actually need to eat the corpse of a chicken to get those things. You know where you can get it? Sesame seeds, Brazil nuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. It's crazy. Asparagus, mushrooms, avocado. Um, I don't know, tofu, tempeh, uh, grapefruit, apple, pear. Yeah, yeah. They're not going to tell you that because they want you to eat at KFC. You know, it used to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken. They changed it. You know why they just call it KFC now? Because you know what KFC means? Really? It means killing friendly chickens. That's what it means. But they don't want to. Um, anyway, so um, the other thing you can eat is watermelon. Okay, it's got cysteine. Can you believe it? Watermelon, chia seeds. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Right next to spirulina, is it up there? Maybe better. I don't know. Chia seeds has 18 amino acids, all of the essential amino acids, and all but two of the non-essential. It's got the omega 3s and 6s. It's got fiber, soluble fiber, and it's it's got selenium. Yeah. So, yeah. And there's one other thing that increases glutathione, and you won't believe it. Maybe you'll believe it. You should believe it because I wouldn't say it if I didn't know it's true. Well, how do you know? I've done the research. Um, you know what happens when you move a lot? They call it exercise, but let's call it something else. Darren, um, our kinesiologist, uh, always reminds everyone that forget exercise. Let's play. Let's just play like kids. Just play. Climb trees, crawl on the ground, try to balance on a fence, whatever. Just play. And why don't adults play? Because we're worried about the way we look. I don't want to appear. Kids don't care how they look. Anyway, but anyway, when you exercise or you're moving around a lot, it causes oxidative stress on your muscles. That's bad, right? No, that's how they grow. So, what does your body have to do with oxidative stress? Oh, it upregulates glutathione production. Yeah. So, people that are sedentary don't have as much glutathione as people who move around a lot. Anyway, one of the other factors involved in all of these antioxidants, because that was a really good question, and I'm sure everybody's interested in it. One of the other things is something called NRF2, which is it's a redox sensitive transcription factor that turns on all kinds of antioxidant uh, genes and then the antioxidants, right? Antioxidants like superoxide dismutase, glutathione, catalase, thyroreductin, all the antioxidants. It turns them on, right? And so NRF2 is right there in the middle, and that's uh, kind of central to this, right? So um, but so some good news is that resveratrol, which we all know that is like from grapes and other things, and what's that other one? Sulforaphane from cruciferous vegetables. But I thought kale was bad. It's no longer a superfood, right? And broccoli. I saw this one guy on a video. He's holding up broccoli in the store, and he goes, he's saying this will kill you. So it's like crazy. But anyway, so it turns out that I've got to rebut this guy. Anyway, glutathione. Sulforaphane. Okay, again, upregulates NRF2, whereas resveratrol upregulates it. So does one other thing, alpha lipoic acid, right? Okay, and curcumin. Wow, what is that ridiculous pain? They activate NRF2, which turns on all your antioxidant enzymes, which protects you. Yeah. So, what? One thing I didn't mention when we were talking about the NAC taking it with glycine, they did a study with 8 weeks. Okay, because they found that elderly people had less glutathione and less glycine. So that's why they thought, well, why don't we give glycine and NAC? And they did, I think, for 8 weeks. They gave them that, and they found that it restored normal glutathione levels in elderly people. Yeah, they were given like 600 milligrams a day. Also, alpha lipoic acid is a powerful anti-inflammatory. So, in addition to taking the selenium NAC, which you can get food form, and you can also take it in the pill form, selenium, and of course, you're sipping 7-7C, vitamin C, and you get vitamin A. In addition to all that, so you want ALA as an antioxidant. You want melatonin, one of the most powerful antioxidants. You want now the vitamin A's are called carotenoids, and they've got a specific structure. There's a carotenoid. So when you take vitamin A, always take it in the mixed carotenoid. So you're not just taking beta carotene. There's alpha, gamma, there's lutein, there's other parts of the vitamin A. Take the mixed carotenoids. Now, there's one carotenoid that is made by algae called astaxanthin, and it's extremely powerful in terms of its antioxidant ability, right? So that's excellent. Now, there's a guy that was a pretty smart guy, and he connected the astaxanthin to a glucose molecule with a glucosidic bond, and so now CFCs see glucose. They grab the glucose, in goes the astaxanthin. Too many electrons, too much of a good thing, and it dies. So, and that product of those is called Valasta, VALASTA. So you want to take Valasta, you want to take NAC, glycine, you want to take ALA, RLA, it's the R isomer, ALA, alpha lipoic acid, and melatonin. They said that, and Of course, vitamin C. Yeah, though that is a great combination. So I wouldn't take glutathione orally because you're not going to get anything out of it, unless you can happen to get it in liposomal form or sublingual, so it gets absorbed directly into your through the blood vessels under your tongue, right? And uh, okay, there's one other thing. There's another amino acid called taurine. Now, taurine we use if someone's got heart problems. Taurine's very helpful. It's an amino acid, but it also increases glutathione levels, not directly, but the reason it does is because cysteine is necessary as part of the production of um, of it's a precursor to both, because taurine and glutathione is a precursor to both. So therefore, if you're taking taurine, then the cysteine doesn't have to go to making glutathione, and you wind up, to making taurine, because you already got it. So you're gonna have more for the glutathione, and you do. So taurine, which is good for your heart anyway, is an amino acid. It's going to allow you to wind up with increased levels of intracellular glutathione. Yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah. By the way, all of this, everything at the end of every live and at the end of every time you've read anything about CFCs and all that, you have to come to the fundamental conclusion that we all need to come to before we die, and that is, wow, this is incomprehensible. And then I can't ever forget that we have 36 sextillion chemical reactions going on every second. That's 30. That's not 21 zeros. I can't get that out of my mind every second. And so I realized that we'll never understand this. So we won't understand this. And what I alluded to before when I was talking about, ketogenic diet or low methionine diet and all that sort of thing, is that in reality, the CFC needs the same things that your healthy cells need to stay healthy. And so if you deprive them, you're depriving you. And you can't become ketogenic. That term has been overused. You get ketogenic. And what does that mean? Ketones are the byproduct of fat metabolism. Genic means produce. So it's a diet that produces ketones. Okay, so that means you're breaking down fat. So in other words, the whole idea is to get into to achieve a state of ketosis, meaning that you've got a lot of ketones in your blood. All right, but then how much do you need? Well, you need to have enough. For you have CFCs, you've got to have your glucose. The amount of available glucose has got to be less than the amount of ketones. So if you took the ratio of glucose to ketones, so GKI, it's called the glucose ketone index or ratio. You divide glucose by the ketones, and it should be less than 1. It should be 0.8, 0.9. Very hard to achieve. Very hard to achieve. And if you do achieve it, then these really clever CFCs are going to say, fine, I'll just go eat the glutathione. Which is why Thomas Seyfried, cancer is a metabolic disease. Hurts to say those words. The C word and the D word, I don't like saying those. So he's saying, okay, so let's you go into therapeutic ketosis, and then we're going to take this chemical with the initials are DON, which blocks glutamine metabolism. As I said, you will die too. Your lymphocytes need glutathione. need glutamine. That's their fuel. They're your enterocytes, the cells that are in your small intestines that allow you to digest and absorb. Their primary fuel is glutamine. Um, and then glutamine is also a substrate. It's not only fuel, but it's a substrate for producing amino acids, for producing nucleic acids, for genetic material. Glucose is a substrate for it's how we get the carbon skeleton of lots of molecules, including fatty acids and stuff like that. So you can't do it. You can't do it. And when I put people on a 41 days, and we checking their glucose every day. Your muscle, it'll do it. So the point is this, and you don't get methionine, in other words, you can't figure it out and trick it because it's way too complicated. Because in one environment, a molecule that we think is bad is necessary over here. IL-6, interleukin 6. You don't want high, that's inflammation. And that stimulates your body your liver to produce CRP, C-reactive protein, and inflammation. But without IL-6, after you exert yourself, your muscles wouldn't be able to regain their strength. You need it. So again, we can't figure it out. So what we do is we come to surrender and understand that this is God's show. Wrote the script. Set decorator, made the set too. Producer, director, script writer, set decorator. Lighting, he took care of the lighting. Not he, it, I mean, and what else? Oh, and casting director. Picked you to play you, and nobody could have done it better. So you say, whoa, it's all been done. Yes, it's all been done. Acknowledge it. Surrender to that acknowledgement. And then you'll be able to enjoy the ride. And I think, and you'll realize that you're not doing anything. It's already known that you're going to make a right-hand turn at that stop sign next Thursday. It's already known. It's already known. You didn't decide. Sorry. Anyway, when you give up the illusion of control and you realize and acknowledge the true omniscience and omnipotence of God, then you say, this is what Solomon meant when Solomon said the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. It's not fear. It's like, wow. Anyway, so what do we do? How do we do it? Yeah, it's great, Lodi, but I got this pain. Yeah. So what do? We bring everything into balance. Like all of the indigenous healing disciplines, what do they call them? They're not alternative. They're only alternative over here in Rockefeller land, but they were the main thing. Actually, Rockefeller medicine is an alternative. Natural, whatever, like Ayurvedic and TCM and Thai medicine, and there's even indigenous African, indigenous European, indigenous the Aborigines, and everywhere, the Maoris. Every place has indigenous medicine, and all the indigenous medicine, the central core of indigenous medicine is to restore balance. And if you restore balance, then it works like estrogen's bad. No, it's when it's out of balance. It's not bad. It's necessary. You're dead without it. So bad. None of this is bad. It's all necessary. It just gets out of balance. We got to bring it back into balance. So that's what we do. And we work on that. We work on it. We work on the GI. We bring it all into balance and we give what it doesn't need. Yeah. And it does the job. But there's no way we're going to figure out and if anybody ever tells you they've got the answer, run, Forrest, run. Get out of there. They don't have the answer. There's no the answer. There's no the thing that you need. You know what you need? What you need is to be whole, to be balanced, to turn this off. to be connected, to have your feet on the ground, to be an earthling. This is what you need. That's what we need. I need. Yeah, that's what we need. So I didn't get very far today, you guys. I'm sorry. All right, real quick. Here's a Michelle. Michelle says, my husband is 41 years old and is on high blood pressure medicine. Is there any way he can get off this medicine? I don't believe being on this for 40 plus years is the right path. There must be another way. Absolutely. Right. Isn't that clear? We're crazy. So you got high blood pressure or diabetes or whatever, and you go to the doctor and they're going to treat you. And 40 years later, you still have it, but you're taking additional medicine because of the side effects from the previous, but you still have it. It didn't change. Why didn't it change? Because you didn't deal with it. It's crazy. It's so obvious. But anyway, you're absolutely right. So high blood pressure, remember, the body's adapting. So what's it adapting to? I don't know his weight. I don't know what he eats. I don't know how he moves his bowels. I don't know how much movement he gets, exercise, movement. Not at the gym. It's one thing to, do your work all day and then go to the gym and freak out. That's not natural. Neither are natural. Okay. Move all day. But anyway, yeah, he needs to do a cleanse, a juice cleanse, just like anybody's got CFCs with it, because it's coming. Do a juice cleanse for 3 weeks. Get colon hydrotherapy, clean it out. Go to bed early. Make sure you're moving around all day. Every 90 minutes, set your alarm and get up and do 10 minutes of vigorous exercise and go back to doing whatever you do. As vigorous you can do it. If you're not in good shape, if you're weak, do it. Whatever's vigorous for you. Just get your heart moving and you're pumping and your mind, and get some resistance, and and then so that do that. And then when he starts eating again, he should eat foods that are human foods, which are plants. You can eat animals, but don't cook them. Eat them uncooked, okay? Because if we eat food uncooked, then we've got all of its all of the nutrients. You don't want to cook away nutrients. And if you don't like to eat animals either alive, or you don't like to eat their corpses without like frying them or something, so go ahead, eat animals. Just eat them raw. So that's what I'm saying. So and then make sure he stops eating 4 hours before he's 40, 4 hours before bed. Stops eating, goes to bed at 9. And dill. Can you believe dill? I almost talked about dill. That does it. There are other things. Magnesium, very, very important for blood pressure. Yeah. And remember, if you're drinking green juice and eating green vegetables, it's green because it has chlorophyll, and chlorophyll, every chlorophyll molecule has magnesium. So yeah, he doesn't need to be that. You throw those away. He doesn't need them, but he doesn't need to keep his blood pressure down. So get one of those cuffs. Make sure you're measuring at home. And I don't know what he's on. He's probably on either a calcium channel blocker like amlodipine, or an ACE inhibitor like lisinopril, or maybe a diuretic like hydrochlorothiazide. All that stuff is just poisoning the body so that the blood vessels relax and they won't, or peeing a lot. It's just, it's not fixing the problem. It's not restoring the body's intended function so that adaptation is not required, right? I'm telling you, put him on a juice. Within a week, within a couple of days of the juice cleanse, if he took the high blood pressure medicine, he would get too low, because you'll get before he gets off the cleanse, he'll have normal blood pressure. So unless he has something like stenosis of one of his renal arteries, I don't know, but I'm sure he doesn't, because they wouldn't just be having you on pills. But and it goes for anything with any condition, whether you call it high blood pressure or not. Just start living right. Now, wow. Okay. So Sherry, uh, please help me. I'm dying from parasites. I have been doing a lot of research. I know that's what I have. I already lost my mom, and I know that was a big part of it. Okay. So Sherry, you got to join this parasite group. Also, just go to drlodi.com and go to a webinar on parasites. It's parasites and cancer, but it doesn't matter. You keep out the word, that other word, just parasites. Look at that. It's going to go through it. It's going to give you protocols. It's going to tell you where to get it, stuff like that. And then join the group, okay? Because yeah, I hear you, Sherry. And I get messages from people all over the world, and it's an incredible problem that I had no idea how severe it is. It's crazy. I mean, they're coming out of people's noses, ears, vaginas. It's like skin out of the head. Yeah. Uh, I don't, it's just part of what, yeah, I won't say what I think, because you know what I think already, most of you. All right. So I got to answer these questions. I didn't answer them, and it's already, wait, what time is it? Yeah, it's 7:18. For you in New York, it's 10:18. So sorry. All right, you guys. Next week, Sawadee Kap, Aloha, Namaste, Namaskar. See you next week. Oops. Wow. Can't even turn it off without having trouble. Yeah. And what happened here? Yeah.